Hello and welcome to Featherlight Stories. One new story every Thursday and Sunday. Stories you can think about or talk about or feel inspired by, but stories that will always help you feel calm. My name is Cedric, and this is episode 7. The Knight's Sword. A sword is not just a weapon. It's, if you own one, a possession to be proud of, to take good care of so that it stays sharp and shiny. Swords come in different sizes and shapes. Some are long and thin, others are broad and short, and there are countless variations in between. During a tournament, one that took place hundreds of years ago, many knights were going to duel against each other. But the audience, which contained thousands of people because it was the greatest tournament in the land, was paying attention to 3 knights in particular, because they were famous and had won many tournaments before. The first was Sir Tin, the knight with the smallest sword. He was known for never missing when he stabbed or swung with it, though it took more than one hit to take down a fully armored opponent with such a small sword. Then there was Sir Prize, the knight with the middle-sized sword, who was able to strike suddenly and with great agility and speed. The third was Sir Pas, the knight with the greatest sword. Though his movements were slow, one hit from his sword was enough to win a duel against any other knight, no matter how well armored they were. He had never lost a tournament before and loved to brag about it at parties with royal guests. Sir Pas woke up sometime after sunrise on the day of the tournament, and he immediately noticed how his sword, that he always kept right to his bed, was not attached to his belt. Angry and worried, he jumped out of bed and, after getting dressed, quickly stormed into the large hall where all the knights gathered.
"Who has it?"
he yelled out. The master of ceremonies, Sir Amonis, got up from behind a table.
"Who has what, Sir Pas?" "My sword! Someone took my sword! I demand that the person who took it returns it to me at once!"
"Your sword wasn't taken by anyone, Sir Pas. It has merely decided to duel without you and registered as a contestant at first light this morning. It's about to affront Sir Tin as we speak."
"What is this nonsense?"
stammered Sir Pas. He ran to the tournament ground, and indeed, his sword was there and had just defeated, in a duel, Sir Tin, who had hit the sword a few times, but made of solid iron, it didn't feel anything. The audience cheered for the sword, and it performed a little dance in front of everyone. Sir Pas raised his belt in the air.
"You! Get back in here!"
The sword made a couple of swings in the air and left the arena. Sir Pas went back to the hall with fast, large steps and slammed his fist on Sir Amonis' table.
"My sword just defeated Sir Tin, and that was supposed to be my first duel of the tournament."
"I regret to have to tell you, Sir Pas, that since you have no sword to duel with, your name has been taken off the participants list."
"What? This is ridiculous! I'm getting it back, and you shall see who gets his name off this list."
Sir Pas hastily moved back to the tournament ground, only to see the last seconds of the sword's duel against Sir Prize, who fell backwards on the ground, The audience stood up and cheered louder than before. Mad and steaming like a pot of hot vegetables, Sir Pass went to the king's large pavilion. Ceremonial music was playing, and guests were waiting outside before they were allowed to enter. The valet next to the entrance greeted Sir Pass.
"I'm truly sorry, sir. Your name is not on the list. I'm afraid I can't allow you to enter." "What? That's impossible! My name not on the list! Do you know who I am?"
Of course I do, otherwise how could I have known your name isn't on the list?"
"I demand to see His Majesty at once."
"Forgive me, Sir Pass. Only tournament participants are allowed at this feast, and since you are
Not a participant, I know. I'm only the greatest knight of the land who's won every single tournament that there is to win, who has made more crowds cheer than anyone, period, and for whom princesses stand in line eager to get married. But sure, I'll just stand here with these other nobodies."
Inside the pavilion, an announcement was made.
"Your Highness, ladies, lords, and sirs, our guest of honor for this evening, the sword that won the tournament, Sir Roget." "It's a sir now? And it has a name? It's my sword! This is absurd!"
Sir Pass yelled as loud as he could about how Sir Tin and Sir Prize should never have accepted to duel against the sword, that there was no honor in it, and that the whole tournament was just a big farce. He then returned to his tent and drank wine until he fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up after sunrise, and with a heavy head and barely open eyes, he noticed his sword in its sheath, resting against his armor next to his bed. Full of joy, but still with a headache, he put on his armor and hung his sword at his belt, after which he hurried to the great hall. Before he could show off his sword to anyone, he noticed Sir Prize at Sir Emony's table, shouting,
"My sword! Someone took my sword! I demand that the person who took it returns it to me at once!"
Sir Pass smiled and thought about what he would be eating at the king's feast that night.